Okay, today we are going to be working with solving and graphing inequalities. So we have a handout like this to go in your notebook, and we are going to fold it as such. We are going to take a pair of scissors and cut down each section. Okay, on the first section, we're going to put a less than sign, less than equal to, greater than, equal to, not equal to, and this capital R, which if you don't know means all reals. Okay, so if we open our first less than sign, this symbol means less than. Example would be B is less than 4. Okay. That means on our number line over here we're going to have 4, and then choose a number on either side of it. This will have an open circle, and as long as your variable is on the left, you will shade the way that it's pointed. The next one was a less than or equal to sign. An example of this would be maybe C is less than or equal to -2. So on my number line here, I'm going to have -2. To the left of that would be -3, and to the right of that would be -1. And because it's less than or equal to, we have a closed circle and then I'm also going to shade to the left. The next example is greater than. So we could have M is greater than 1. So on my number line I'd have a 1, on the left side I'd have a 0, on the right side I would have a 2. Open circle, shading to the right. Again, if your variable is on your left side, whichever way your inequality points will be the way that you shade. The next sign is greater than or equal to. So let's have K is greater than or equal to negative 5. So on my number line, I would have negative 5. To the left, I would put negative 6. To the right, I would put negative 4. Because it's equal to, it will be a closed circle and shade to the right. An equal sign with a line through it means not equal. And so if something's not equal, we could have maybe S does not equal 3. And if I had that case, I would put my 3 on my number line, 2 on the left, 4 on the right. I would have an open circle on 3 showing that it's not equal. Open circle means you don't include that value. And then I'm going to shade to the left and to the right because it can be all the other numbers. In all reals, and we'll look at this when we do some examples, but all reals would mean that you would get a real statement. So for instance, if I had 2 is greater than negative 1, that's always going to be true. And so when I shade that on a number line, I just put another number on top of that. And we'll look more at that special case. Okay. Some example problems. Number 1. Five minus 3x is less than or equal to 13 plus x. I'm going to move, say always move variables to the left. And so I'm going to subtract x now I'm going to subtract 5 and then divide by negative 4. When I divide by a negative, divide by a negative, you must flip your inequality. So now this would be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. All inequalities you have to solve, and you also have to graph on a number line. So I will have a closed circle since it's equal to, and I will shade the way the arrow points, which would be to the right. So now we have 3 times the quantity x plus 3 is less than 4 plus 8x. The first thing I have to do is distribute. Then I'm going to subtract 8x. 3x minus 8x is negative 5x. Subtract 9. I get negative 5x is less than negative 5. And then divide by negative 5. So if I divide by a negative, I have to remember to flip the sign, and I will get 1. On my number line, I will put the number 1, 0, and 2. So I have 0, 1, and 2. I will have an open circle, and I will shade to the right. Example number 3. So we're going to solve this just like if this was an equal sign. So that means we have to write down the 3y. We have to distribute the negative 1. Okay, I have like terms on the left side, so 3y minus 1y is 2y, minus y is less than or equal to 2y minus y. I have the same thing on the left side as the right side. So I'm going to subtract 2y, subtract 2y. So now I get negative 1 is less than or equal to negative 1. Is that a true statement? Yes, because you have the equal to. So this answer is all reals. And on a number line, choose some numbers to put on the number line. And then just to draw a line above it. That's a special case. Don't always see it, but sometimes can come up. Okay, on the left side of your notebook, we have this page glued in. It says, when multiplying or dividing by a negative, flip the inequality. The sign. Okay, so on number 1, we are going to add 4 to the right side. (18 plus 4 is 22. And then we are going to divide by 2. And so we will have x is greater than or equal to 11. On a number line, I will put 10, 11, and 12. At 11, I will have a closed circle and shade to the right. Number 12, I would subtract 3x. I get 2x plus 12 is less than or equal to negative 8. Subtract 12 we get 2x is less than or equal to negative 20. And then divide by 2. Do not flip the sign because you're not dividing by a negative. And so when I graph that, I'll put negative 11, negative 10, negative 9 on my number line. I will have a closed dot at negative 10, and I will shade to the left. Number 3, I'm going to go ahead and move the negative 2x to the other side. So I'm going to have 2x plus 5 is greater than 8. And now I'm going to subtract 5. So I get 2x is greater than 3, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So we get x is greater than 3 halves. So on a number line, I will have 1, I will have 3 halves, and I will have 2. Be an open circle, shading to the right. Number 4, we need to distribute the negative 3 to everything inside the parentheses. We're going to have 2x minus 3x minus 15 is less than 6. Like terms are 2x and negative 3x. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1x. I'm going to add 15. I get negative 1x is less than 21. And now I have to divide by this negative 1. Remember, when you divide by the negative 1, you have to flip your sign. So x is going to be greater than negative 21. On a number line, I will have negative 22, negative 21, and 20. Open circle, shading to the right. Okay, number 5. We have to distribute both and the right side. So we're going to have negative 3x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 2x plus 10. I'm going to subtract 2x. Get negative 5x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 10. Subtract 6. Negative 5x is greater than or equal to 4. And divide by negative 5. When we divide by a negative, we need to flip our sign, and we're going to get negative 4/5. So negative 4/5. the left side of that would be -1. On the right side of that would be 0. Close circle and shade that to the left. Okay, number 6 is a fraction that's greater than another fraction. And the way we solve this is by proportions, which means you cross multiply. So I'm going to cross multiply those two. I'm going to cross multiply those two. So we're going to have 3 times the quantity x plus 2, keep the inequality symbol, is greater than 5 times 2x. So I will have 3x plus 6 is greater than 10x. I'm going to take my variable to the right this time just so we can discuss what happens if that's the case. So 6 is greater than 7x, and divide by 7. Don't flip the sign because you're not dividing by a negative. Now, I have 6/7 is greater than x. So on a number line, here's my 6/7. It's going to be an open circle. And then because the variable's on the right side, you shade the opposite way this is pointing. So I would shade to the left.